Now, everybody's going to have their own timing, their own place when these happen, if they happen, if they don't, when it's going to, somewhere in that first 90 years, you're going to get the conjunction square opposition to each planet. And those 2 years around that are going to be specifically, the nation on Mars is your desire for experience, to do things, to make things happen, to force things, to be strong, to be sexual, to be experienced, to try and do things, to climb the mountain, to go here, to go there, or negatively, it's like you give someone energy, I'm doing this for you, I'm doing this for you, and then you pull it, I'm not doing anything for you anymore. You pull it away and it gets repressed and inward. So Mars can be doing things, it can also be angry repression. But as you're going through this power and this force and this physical health or lack of health, like muscle tone, lack of muscle tone, strength, weakness, as we're going through those puzzles in our life, day to day, year by year, or 2 year cycles through our life, at whatever age we are, the progressed sun comes along and it's our confidence, our heart comes up and it's challenging that. So if you're weak, it's challenging. What are you taking this weakness for? Get your heart to like connect to your spirit and get your energy back together. Healing is like, it's a healing energy that's there behind the physical energy. So like in Tai Chi or yoga, you're doing the exercise, but you really, it's because it tunes into an inner energy that it has the healing energy. It's not just the breath, it's behind what's behind the breath, putting things in order to allow that energy to come through. So this is what are you physically doing? So the challenge is your progressed sun's going to come and give you inner confidence around what you're doing, or make you feel, I need to have this confidence. I need, like it's going to bring that light behind your actions, behind your force, a charisma and an energy behind your energy. But really, the more you're doing, the less you're listening. So someone can be super active, running around, being busy 24 hours a day, running business, doing things, having the kids, scrambling, general chaos. And you're really alive, but there's a light has to be inside of it. What's it for? So a mom with 3 or 4 kids scrambling around saying, I got no time, I got no energy, oh my goodness, how can this be? I got so many demands, so many things that can come up. But inside of that, there's a love inside of that that's guiding it. And if you forget that, it's going to damage the marriage and the kids. So how do we allow our actions to be heart-driven, or God-inspired, or love-inspired? And by love-inspired, I don't mean sex-inspired. How do you get your heart? Is your confidence? Are you committed to anything that you do? And if you're that committed, are you angry when you understand any rejections, or can you realize other people have to do things too? Like being a grandpa, you can't tell your grandkids what to do. You watch them do it, you encourage it, but the parents are the ones that have to do that, and you're having to back off a little bit and still find the love or the confidence in it. Many things come like this, but again, these are things that evolve. And as you get to the outer planets, it's a little subtler and harder to see subtle little changes that make sense to you. And you, in time, after you've contemplated or thought about this for a few years or something, it begins to settle in and begins to dawn on you. Oh, that was that. Oh, and you see, I got through that phase. Or it's like tests are like the labors of Hercules. The soul goes through a test in each sign of the zodiac. Well, we have the tests as we go through each sign. There's tests as we go through special tests and challenges as we go through each planet. But the sun, the progressed sun, is inwardly empowering the Mars. What is the square? It's giving that purpose onto the Mars. Don't get into too much mental thing. It's giving that purpose to it. And the Mars is doing what it will. Sometimes the Mars gets well aligned to that inner work and is doing noble, or is guided by its heart, by the heart. But many times we're doing things and at the heart, and it's not making us more noble or making us more loving, or not letting it's not moving towards the light, but it's moving out towards other things. We can do that and get the confidence to do that. But once you get the confidence to do that, there'll be a phase that comes later where you lose that confidence. It's part of the natural cycle. You put it out, it'll go through its up and its down. Normal. And by the time you lose, you're so high on what you're doing, when it can't do it anymore, boy, we feel so bad, we feel so pathetic, but then we start listening within, and when you can hear it, you begin to understand. Oh, that's why that happened. See, almost figure out progressions as they're passing. And, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. But as you put them together, it begins to make sense of your whole life and its progress as it goes along. So it's thinking of the sun as your heart and soul and purpose, your individual soul and purpose in life, but it pushes it out into seeing you justify, this is my destiny, it's my purpose. We put it out into the world through our ego and through the world, and it goes out and we live our life, but this inner current is still steadily going on, and the soul is still gaining experience, whether it's positive or negative. It's not touched by it. It's just, oh, look at that, you brought that up, or you're going through that, that's this movie, that's that flick, that's that. Oh my God, it's just collecting this thing like a movie, like and life is the dream, is the illusion, is just watching the dream, seeing what you build up the next time. But in the same time, there's this haunting thing about, boy, what if your actions actually got aligned with your heart? It takes a subtlety, it takes something to develop that subtlety or that inward awareness. And it comes out of experience, out of our successes, out of our failures, out of our rejections, out of our hopelessness, out of our weaknesses. We begin to often we can become the more spiritual points than our strengths. The strengths are often more distraction than our weaknesses. Okay. Now, see, when we're dealing with the inner planets, with transits, they move by so fast. Mercury goes every 3 months, Venus every 7-8 months, and they go by so fast. They last for a few days in the chart, or day, or something, and they seem very superficial. But when we start working with them, with natal chart, or even with the progressed sun, you watch sun and solar aspect, and every year the same aspect will happen at the same time of year. The sun is your birthday for 1 day, and the day before and after it's high on your birthday. Your unbirthday is really every other day than that, but really the opposition is the most extreme unbirthday. And the similar things happen every year. So the sun transit has its pulsing going on. But the progressions, the sun is this long-term evolution of a lifetime of purpose and coming in and out of the incarnation and beyond. And as it touches each planet, the inner planets running into the outer planets brings a real challenge to the outer planets. Like, we really get to see the power of the inner planets by the progression. So in transits, we see the sun, but we really see the Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Bam, there's the dramatic transits. Right? We see those. Those are clear to see and talk about. When you want to see the evolution of your thoughts and your values and your confidence, you're watching the moon, the Mercury, Venus, and progressions, and you're seeing how they evolve. And they'll run into the. So here, my sun is running into my Jupiter. So when the sun runs into Jupiter, in my case, it was a conjunction. And you can even look at this graphic and sort of figure it out. My sun's at 23 Libra, 7 degrees to the end of Libra. My Jupiter's at 4. So at about 11, 12 years old, progressed sun conjunct Jupiter. Now, as a kid, I come out of a poor, abusive, alcoholic home situation. We didn't have the things other people had, but we had the nature, we had the field, I had the lake, the river in front of us. I did fishing. I had a lot of adventures and sports and things. And in that year, I think I joined the Cubs. I got a bike, and I was starting to extend my social expansion, and my understanding was really optimistic and positive. And my confidence built up. So I remember those times as some of the best times, but really they were still problematic at home and another place, but my understanding was growing. And my son was touching that. A few years later, by 16, the family's falling apart, everything's going negative. Like, my understanding wasn't being listened. I had to learn the dark side. So, but then my progressed sun went through and it challenged my comprehension of things. It instilled a certain inner thing, an inner confidence. And like my Mars, Jupiter, Saturn are all within 10 degrees of each other. So they kind of pile up together. And so 10 years, a lot of things happening with this progressed sun going down in my 3rd house, in Scorpio. But it's empowering the Jupiter. The sun is just going along, it's shining and going along. I've got to learn. I'm going to have to learn inner things till it gets down to my IC and goes along. This is the sun. It hits the Jupiter and it brings that energy to the Jupiter, and Jupiter can be so active outwardly, or it might be having to listen. How much can you understand inwardly? I know in growing up around that time, I felt the people in the churches and the churches I've been going to or whatever, they weren't really spiritual teachers. I like, they lost me. I stopped going. Not that, but life was, we moved, a lot of things changed, and my understanding was challenged. What was right out of this? That affected me for many, many years. My understanding, and it was a haunting thing for many years. So when I studied the astrology, I could see all the bad things that happened when I was a kid. When I think back and think, I had the best of times. I had nature, I had the river, I had sports, I had things. I remember all the positive things. So like in one way, I have this positive take on the best. I grew up the best life. When I look at it, it wasn't the best at all. It was like, it was abusive. So like, but my experience with that carried me through to be more confident being my own in other situations later on in my life. But it affected my philosophy, my outlook. And my dad almost died in that time period too, and almost quit school. I had to go back. So many things I had to learn, understand, that weren't just what I was doing, but a different understanding. So everybody's going to have a puzzle of comprehension. The sun's going to empower whatever understanding you have. And it's going to direct, and your Jupiter's going to be empowered and feel, no, I can direct this and direct that. And you're going to act on it, you're going to think about it, you're going to go on it. But you get the wave of the reacting to it and going on it. But the real story is not in the pushing out or the caving in that comes after it. It's in the continuity of how your soul's growing through inside of all, in spite of that. So almost each aspect is a petty distraction to the sun, who's walking through the houses, walking through the rooms of the house. And as it goes past each room, somebody's got a different movie on, someone's got a different thing, there's different distractions that come in, the sun just still works through them. So yeah, your tendency to exaggerate, all the Jupiterian things that you do in the natal chart, they're going to be exaggerated. They're going to be empowered by the sun being there. But you can easily empower the understanding wrongly as confidence or my ego, I have to do this. In which case it'll crash down and you have the load broken. In time, you'll come to learn, that was kind of stupid. Why wasn't I listening? But you can set things in motion for long times that take a lot of learning to get back to. So the planets are trying to be who they are. The sun's coming along and saying, here's this other agenda. I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And I'm just dealing with what I got. I don't want to have to listen to that other agenda. Like this battle's going on between the outer me and the inner me. You know, I like that expression. Which side of a chicken has the most feathers? I've mentioned it before in the classes, but which side has the most feathers? The outside is where all the feathers are. The inside is no feathers. So why the transits, the outer world is just the fluff for what's happening from within. Because when you get to your heart, all the boundaries of mental boundaries, emotional boundaries, physical boundaries, they dissolve into a really radiant sense of love and God. If you're an atheist and you follow astrology, you can follow astrology as an atheist, just measuring the things. This is the point where you'll measure the ego and the things going in as it's affecting the natal chart. It'll be you won't see that this will to God or to good is going on within this. Progressions are phenomenally incredible. Like, it's because it's so undefined, it's because it's so vast that it puts the rest of astrology in perspective. It humbles us. It puts it in better perspective to realize there's that inner process to all these. It's not just about how do I get the best job, how do I find the best person, how do I get what I want. It's not, that's there, but that's really the, and many people spend big parts of their life just on that. And the sun's this constant reminder, where is your heart? Where is that heart beating? Are you listening? Are you aligning? It's true, you're supposed to be aligning every single degree or the whole 90 years of your life. We get out of alignment, then we get back in line. So the things that seem the worst that destroy us, or we lose a business, we lose a marriage, things fall apart, these horrible things happen, and think, how could this possibly happen? And really, we dished out a whole bunch of things to get there, and it has to cave in before we can get back to listening properly again.